And since I've been here a week and a half with visiting family, friends, clients, everybody keeps saying the same thing. And what they keep telling me is this glow that they see. At first I was like, well, my friends are just pumping me up. But when I went to 3 clients' house this week and the husbands were like, we never met you, we just only hear about you, but this glow that you're exuding, I was just like, oh my God. And so when I began to talk to God months ago about what I was going to talk about today, I actually changed the introduction of what I was going to talk about based around everybody wanting to know what this glow is. Some people have reached out and asked me, do you got a new man? Do you have a baby? Come in, Ma. Come in. Please have a seat. Some people have asked me about the glow, whether it was DM, text message. Do you got a new man? Are you pregnant? What fountain of youth are you drinking from? All the things. And what I've told them was, y'all, this is my Jesus glow. This is what's radiant off of me. Jesus glow. This is Shamieka healed completely, mind, body, soul, and spirit. And so it reminds me of when we think about Isaiah 61:3. And he talks about where he gives you beauty for ashes. And that is the theme of my life, beauty for ashes, where God literally took all of my brokenness when I decided to surrender to him, to say yes, to take my ashes and turn them into beauty. Many of you guys know that I was an abandoned drug baby when I was born. And I had every drug known to man in my system. I shouldn't even been here. So most of you guys I know from personal interactions with you guys have read the book. I shouldn't even been here from day one, but God. And God bless my mom, my birth mom, for having the courage to give me up. And God bless the NICU nurse who was there, who would later be my adopted mom. There's a saying that I want to ask you guys, and nobody be shy to answer, like we're all vulnerable in some way, shape, or form. We are family and all the things. How many of you guys have heard the statement, what happens in this house stays in this house? Yes. Right. Okay, now everybody look at me. Nobody look beside. How many people are still telling their children that or have told their children that today? Oh, I'm going to be the only bold one today. It's okay. That statement, literally, you guys, I took it to heart. That was ingrained in me from day one of my existence, of what happens in this house stays in this house. And so I grew up, you guys, at a very young age, not talking about the things that was happening to me. At 5 years old, when sexual abuse began to happen to me, I didn't talk about it, swept it under the rug. When I was 7 years old and somebody else began to abuse me, I didn't talk about it, swept it under the rug. And so I lived by that very toxic statement. And so I want to encourage each and every one of you guys today, whether you raised your hand or not, let's not talk to and tell people that statement or tell our children that statement, because what it teaches us, you guys, is to not trust our feelings. It teaches us to not believe in ourselves when bad things are not happening. And it teaches us to not go and tell the appropriate people when things are happening to us. So when I got into junior high and boys started to show me attention and all the things, it made the feeling of when I didn't know that loneliness and abandonment and rejection was plaguing my life. And so when the boys were showing me attention and all the things, I was happy. I liked that feeling. And so that very toxic trait of jumping in and out of relationships without dealing with the brokenness and all the things in between, I just kept chasing that feeling like a drug, of the newness of a relationship. And so while I was just starting junior high, I didn't know, you guys, that I was adopted. I found out that I was adopted. And when I found out that I was adopted, my world was shattered. I couldn't understand how come all the other kids under me that my mom had adopted after me knew that they were adopted. I didn't know that I was adopted. So to find out, I didn't know who to trust. I couldn't understand why my mom was lying to me. God bless her soul. And for whatever reason, she did it. Obviously, she thought she was doing the best thing for me, but it wasn't okay for me. And so again, by the time I got in high school at 17 years old, in another relationship, just back-to-back relationships. So I found myself pregnant at 17 years old. I knew my mom was absolutely going to kill me, because again, I was taught, sweep everything under the rug, this perfectionism, all the things. And at that same time, I was in a relationship with a gentleman that was very toxic. And because he was suffering from abandonment and rejection issues, which I didn't have those terms then, but he was, because of divorce and all the things, he began to physically abuse me while we both were in high school. So by the time I turned 18 and getting ready to graduate, you guys, I was exhausted because I wasn't talking about, for 18 years at this point, everything that was going on in my life. And by the time I graduated, my mom said, well, we're gonna move to Corona, which is about 45 minutes from Cerritos of the school that I was going to. And so I said, okay, when I graduate, I'm gonna find my mom, I'm gonna work, I'm gonna get money to find my birth mom, because I just wanted to know where I had come from. That was plaguing me when I realized that my adopted mom wasn't my mom. And so I wish I could tell you guys that when I turned 18 and I moved to Corona, that things got better, except they didn't. I found myself in a very not so good situation that unfortunately, again, my adopted mom, I didn't know that they were having financial difficulties. And because of that, she saw, there's not even a nice way for me to say it, a financial opportunity with a gentleman that was almost 50 years old. And I was manipulated and forced to be in a relationship that wasn't by choice. And I don't know about you guys, but when I was 18 years old, I still was scared of my mom. I didn't have the strength to stand up and say, no, I'm not gonna do that, because the things that she would use against me to manipulate me, she used the very thing against me that my trauma therapy taught me that traumatized me my entire life, was rejection and abandonment. If you don't do this, I'm not gonna be your mom no more. If you don't do this, there were consequences, and I didn't know that was led by financial gain. And so I ended up being pregnant by that gentleman at 19 years old, and he is the father of, where's my daughter? She's outside. Unfortunately, yeah, her service pup is all the things, but that is the father of my daughter. And so I just also want to say, too, that both of my girls are here. I have a bonus daughter, which she's over there. Her name is Nyla, and I have my other daughter who's floating around here somewhere. And so, you guys, my girls have watched me be severely broken, and still till this day has loved me and watched me walk and dig myself out of a very dark hole. They were probably the reason why I was able to go through the healing process of what you guys have either heard on the podcast or read in the book. So these are my girls, and I'm so grateful for them and their love. But back to the story. So pregnant with my daughter. Soon after that, you guys, what I started to notice was sicknesses were plaguing my body my entire life, and I didn't know. I learned later on from my trauma therapist, because I was in survival mode from the womb at this point until about in my 20s, because I hadn't talked about none of the trauma, because I hadn't dealt with any of that, I was getting sick off and on. A little bit after that, in my mid-20s, I got in a very bad car accident where I shattered both of my femurs, and I became temporarily paralyzed from the waist down. And I was told I would never, ever walk again. But you guys all know. I am a fully functioning, walking human being today. And so even just like what Kim said, when we think that God isn't here and with us, he was there along the whole way, even when I was angry and mad at him because I didn't understand why all this stuff was happening. Maybe a little bit before I was 30 years old, I got diagnosed with stage 1 cancer in my breast. And it just was back-to-back stuff, you guys. And a little bit after that, I got the courage to tell my mother and my child's father, yeah, I'm done with these shenanigans. So that meant I needed to rebuild my life. While rebuilding my life, I rekindled with my high school sweetheart. And, it was, oh my God, we're together, we're back. The guy who had had my heart since I was 15 years old. And it was that feeling that I had been chasing all while I was young. Except this time it was like, woo, you guys know the honeys, y'all saw it for years. The honeys. And I chased that high. I was back into my family. I had my sister, I had my mom, like the dad, all this unconditional love. So in spite of everything that was going on, there were some red flags, like everybody's relationship has, but I chose to sweep things under the rug again, because I didn't want the feeling to go away. I had just finished nursing school, but my body couldn't tolerate the demand of that job because I kept getting sick. And so Stephen and I talked, and we decided, I told him I want to go to cosmetology school, and he would support me through me going to school. And I did. You guys know, a lot of you guys here, over half the room are my clients who have become my friends. And I became a very successful hairstylist. And then got the opportunity, I think maybe now, when I was close to maybe in my mid-30s, having my own hair salon. Everything was going great externally, but internally I wasn't talking about the brokenness that was going on, the trauma that was happening. My father-in-law, and I want to say this, which that's my mom right there, her husband. So this is not my mom that birthed me. This is my mom through marriage, but there's not marriage. Like, this is my mama who didn't have to go through the labor pains, who has carried and loved me since 2010, but even before then. When our dad and her husband got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer in 2018, and he left this earth, my world was shattered. He was the only human being that showed me true unconditional love. Loved me in spite of all my brokenness. And so I said, God, how dare you take the one person away from me that loved me in spite of all the things. So what did I do? I went from a social drinker to an alcoholic. And me and my husband both we used alcohol to numb the pain that was happening. And as my marriage and our toxicity and all the things was happening, when I was realizing that our marriage wasn't gonna work. Because the truth is, you guys, I came into our relationship broken. I thought it was his job to make me happy. I thought it was his job to make me feel good and love me in ways that I couldn't even love myself. So in turn, I learned that in my brokenness, we both hurt each other in ways that were unexplainable. And when my trauma therapist has talked to me about it, and learning that in my brokenness, in all the things that I wouldn't even let him lead. When he got ready to read the book, some things he didn't even know, because I was that broken that I hadn't even fully trusted the man that I had spent almost half of my life with to even tell him the things that I had been through. And so when our marriage was coming to an end, in January of 22, you guys, I was on my balcony in my high-rise apartment. And I remember, you guys, the abandonment was being triggered like never before, ever before. I was losing my husband. I thought I was losing my mom because all the things, my sister, and today, nobody's love has ever wavered for me, ever. Never wavered for me in spite of, but I couldn't see that. All I saw was I was tired of hurting, and I climbed onto the balcony and the banister to get ready to take my life. Not even the love for my kids this time could stop, because this wasn't the first suicide attempt. There were others, but this one was like actively walking through to do it. And I went to go out on the banister, and I was fully intoxicated. I'd been drinking all day. And when I went to go forward, instead of falling forward, hello, I'm here to tell my story, I fell backwards. And I don't know how long, thank y'all so much. I don't know how long that I laid out there, you guys. And at that time, another disease was plaguing my body called Guillain-Barré syndrome, which was a neurological disease that was causing paralysis off and on. You guys know I had to cancel so many appointments. I wasn't coming. You guys were calling me, "Are you okay?" It was so much. And what I learned, this was all because of undealt with trauma. What happens in this house stays in this house is what I lived with. And so I crawled from the balcony into my bathroom and screaming. What I didn't tell you guys, when I got ready to jump, what I screamed on the top of the lungs, to the top of my lungs, I said, "God, if you don't stop this pain, I swear to God, I'm gonna jump." And so when I went to jump, I fell backwards, and then I crawled to the bathroom. I laid out there for a while, I don't know how long. And when I went into the bathroom to sit on the toilet, I had been hemorrhaging already for a year, and I didn't know why. I thought it was because of the drinking. But when I got my cell phone that was sitting on the counter in the bathroom and I flipped it over because I hadn't checked it in days, I was just drunk all day trying to suppress the pain. There was an email from Ancestry and it said I had a 99% sibling match. I knew in that moment, you guys, the prayer that I had just cried out, I don't know how many hours ago, that God had answered my prayer and sent my family to me to let me know that I was not alone, that I was not abandoned, and that I wasn't losing my family. He had brought them. And even in my brokenness, I said, "God, help me get myself together." And so I rekindled with and reunited with my Guzman family, and the pain started to subside and I started to feel better. But I knew at that time, you guys, I needed to get some help because I was suffering in silence for too long. And so I hired a trauma therapist. I also started to have a relationship with Jesus. Not religion, not just going to church, not what my parents taught me, but a relationship with Jesus. And what that consisted of was me just talking to him like I'm sitting down, talking to each one of you guys. That's how I began to talk to Jesus. And where I learned that from was one of my sisters, who's one of my adopted sisters. She began to exude this glow that we started off talking about, that everybody's talking about. "Mickey, the glow, Shamieka, the glow." I said, "God, whatever that is, I need that peace in my life." And so doing trauma therapy, doing my relationship with Jesus, a year later, remember I said I was been hemorrhaging. What I had found out, I was hemorrhaging out because now I had stage 2 cervical cancer. Now I was really pissed. I was back mad at God. I was like, "Are you serious? I've been doing the work for a year. Why am I still being plagued with diseases back to back to back?" And I just couldn't understand it. And now that I'm just talking to you guys, I hadn't thought about this and I've known this, but God still was there like I told you guys. Stephen and I hadn't talked in maybe 6 months at this time. He randomly called me, and it wasn't random. It was God still. He called me that day and says, "Hey, I'm going to be in the area." He says, "I want to come by and talk." He wanted to find out about my family. He sat down and talked to me as we were chit-chatting. That's when the phone rang from the OBGYN. And the nurse says, "Please hold." So the doctor gets on and tells me that I needed to come in. And I knew I just had a biopsy, and I hadn't told anybody about it. And I said, "Just tell me. This isn't new for me." And that's when he let me know, stage 2 cancer. What are the odds that God didn't let me do that by myself? He immediately got on the phone and called Mama. They came. "You're leaving this apartment. You're coming home. We're going to take care of you." And all the things, God was there along the whole time. And I knew it, but I still was mad because I was angry. I couldn't understand why I was doing the work and the stuff kept happening. And my sister, the one I was telling you about the glow, she said, "Shamieka, you need to go on a fast. You need to ask God, why are all these things happening?" And what the fast consisted of, turning down your plate. I've learned that when we turn down our plate and pray to God and say whatever it is that you're asking him for, what I prayed to him was, "Why have you let me survive all this stuff? Why am I still here? And what is my purpose?" And I want to tell you guys something. If you don't remember nothing else that I tell you tonight, our God is a big enough God for us to get real with him. We are taught a lot of times that, oh, we have to tiptoe around God. No, he wants you to get real with him. When I got real with him, that's when he got real with me.
Amen. That's right.
And so I went on the fast, and you guys, on that first day, everything popped up was unforgiveness, bitterness, all this stuff. And I was just like, why am I having these all about unforgiveness and bitterness? And I fell asleep that night, and in the dream, he began to show me that the reason why my body was still being plagued, why I was still having all the diseases, because I still had bitterness and unforgiveness for the people that I thought that I had forgiven, which was my adopted mom, my adopted father, my child's father, and Stephen. And I said, well, God, I have forgiven them. He was like, yeah, no. When I went to sleep that night, it was literally, he showed me a mirror. And in the mirror, that's when he began to show me that nastiness, that bitterness, that unforgiveness is plaguing your body. Shamieka, it's time for you to give me your heart so I can heal it up. And so I went to sleep. No, after he showed me that, I literally got on my knees and I said it like this, a full-blown attitude. Well, then show me how to forgive them, because I don't know how to forgive them. I thought that I have forgiven them. Show me how to do it, because I don't know how to do it. And I went to sleep, and then another dream came. And in the dream, it was like Jesus was the teacher, and there was a whiteboard like we think about in school. And on one side of the whiteboard was Shamieka and all of her traumas. And on the other side of the whiteboard was my adopted mom, her traumas, my adopted dad, his traumas, my child's father and his traumas, and Stephen and his traumas. And one by one, Jesus began to draw lines. Shamieka, your adopted mom only did to you what was done to her. She couldn't give you or do no better than what she was taught. And so then he began to draw lines and show me about my adopted father. And he said, Shamieka, he couldn't protect you against your mom's bad decisions when nobody ever protected him. He doesn't know how to stand up. He said, your child's father, he's only repeating the same toxic traits that he was seeing by his father. Womanizing, manipulation, all the things. And then he began to show me Stephen and how our lives mirrored so much. We had a rejection womb from the beginning of life. We both catastrophic accidents, paralyzed from the waist down, dealing with paralysis. I mean, mirroring each other. I still today say, God, what are the odds of that? He was showing me the brokenness that both of us were dealing with and using alcohol to abuse it and to under the rug. And because I had blamed Stephen for the entire brokenness of our marriage, God began to deal with me and show me, let me show you, you little girl. It's not just all of him. You came into this relationship broken, bled onto this man. Yes, it does not excuse any of the things that he's done. It doesn't excuse all the things that you guys read about. You guys have read the book. I know, because you guys have called me. It doesn't excuse, but Shamieka, it's not just his fault. You too. You demasculated him when you didn't even know. You wouldn't let him lead. It doesn't matter whether you trusted him or not. These are the things that happen and why your marriage failed. So I said, well, God, show me how to forgive. And so when I woke up, I fell to my knees again. Now we're in day 2 of the fast. And he said, Shamieka, write letters. Write letters and say the things that you're not able to say verbally. Write letters so you can be free, whether to the people who are alive, because both of my adopted parents were dead. My child's father was still alive, and my Stephen was still alive. Write letters. And for hours on that second day, you guys, I wrote until my hand hurt. And he said, now write a letter to little Shamieka. Y'all, the hardest letter that I had to write to myself. And if you guys would allow me, I just want to read a snippet of that letter because, You guys, us healing our inner child starts with us first recognizing what's broken on the inside and us calling a thing and putting words to the things that nobody taught us that it was okay to talk about. Remember what I said at the beginning of this? Sweeping things under the rugs? What happens in this house stays in this house. I had to get real with myself and get real with God. So let me give you guys a snippet of the hardest letter that I had to write in this book. Got to get my helpers. This letter says, "Dear little Shamieka, beautiful little girl inside of me, we finally did the work together to heal our broken mind, heart, spirit, and soul. It was very hard. We barely survived, but I couldn't have done it without you, little Shamieka. I will become the first of many things. But before I can do so, I have to pivot and change my mind about how I look at myself back then and how I focus on my future today. This spiritual and mental healing journey has not been easy. You and I have faced a lot of hardship and learned that adversity is a gift. And because of the opportunity it presents ourselves, the gift of letting go when God changes our seasons, we will be the repairer of the breach of our lineage. And the generations to come will know that the generational dysfunction stops with us. I'm sorry, little Shamieka, that I didn't have the courage to tell Mom when we were only 4 or 5 years old when the sexual abuse started. And that's why you were always sad. You started keeping my secrets at a very young age. My trauma therapist said that we were never given the emotional safe space in which we were comfortable enough to tell what was happening to us. You really are a tough girl to have lived with so much pain for so long. But my Abba Father showed me through writing this book that the measure of our pain tolerance is the measure of the greatness of the purpose that He has for our life ahead. And I want to tell y'all for each one of your lives. And because of all you've been through and all you've endured, our Abba Father has a great plan for us. Are you ready, boo? Of course you are. You were born ready. I said, I'm not upset anymore. I've learned to give myself grace, the same grace that Abba has given me, and to be patient with us. I learned in trauma therapy to go back and reparent you so we could heal together. Everything that we've endured has worked out for our ultimate good. And once again, I'll say, we'll be the repairers of the breach of our lineage. So I love you, little Shamieka. I'm proud of you, and I'm excited for all the plans that Abba God has for us. That letter sits at the end of chapter 2 of this book. And so when day 3 happened, you guys, after me writing that hard letter, God said, now, Shamieka, that you understand true compassion, that you understand true forgiveness, now I can show you what your purpose is. You're going to write a book. And when you write this book and tell your story, you're going to insert letters of gratitude and forgiveness after each chapter, showing the reader how they can get the same freedom as you by writing and giving them a voice to be able to speak or write the things that they're not able to. You guys, not even 6 months ago that I thought, and this is a vulnerable moment, that I could even sit up and do this. When God began to show me visions of all this, I threw a whole nother adult tantrum. Are you serious? And He put specific people in my lives to help me carry along the way. And I wasn't going to say this, and I know she doesn't want to be put on the spot, but I have to say and give flowers to people I believe that God brought along the way, that let's not give flowers when they're gone, but when they're here. My Guzman sister that I just met, that lived right down the street from me that I didn't know, is here tonight in the building, Miss Carmen Guzman. And when I was in that fast, right afterwards, I was not okay, you guys, what he was showing me about my purpose, because it was hard. And I was talking to her about it. And she said, sister, you can do it. She began to affirm me. And then she said, I want you to watch this documentary called Finding Joe. And she said, Shamieka, when you watch the book, you will understand, but you can slay the dragon and be everything that you're supposed to be. And I'll be behind you and support you. And here she is today, my sister. So in August of 23, I said, okay, God, I'll tell my story. After that fast, you guys, that's when all of you guys started to tell me when you were coming in the salon, you're glowing. What is this glow? All the things. And I didn't have the words to articulate to you guys what the glow was because I really didn't know. But the more time that I spent time with God, he began to ask me for harder things, radical obedience. And so maybe 3 months after that fast, on November 9th, to be exact, I had a dream and a vision. And he said to me, Shamieka, I want you to close down your salon and follow me full time. Y'all didn't get that version. Y'all got that I was just retiring and moving to Arizona. I didn't have the courage to tell y'all that that's why I really was retiring. And then another sister I got to give some flowers to. That sister right there. You guys, while this was literally happening, if I'm having these revelations, we were just chit-chatting through text. And as I'm getting these revelations, I'm literally texting her like, Keisha, da-da-da-da-da-da. And she was like, sister, you know what God's been doing? Because we had encountered many Jesus encounters together. She has literally walked by my side as if we grew up together. And we did since 14 years old. We had a gap that we didn't see each other for a long time. But this sister here has walked along the journey with me. And so when God began to speak to me about closing my salon down to follow him full time, there were revelations and all the things that I knew that's what he wanted me to do. I said, God, I'm scared. He said, I know, but I need you to trust me. I have something for you. You must close this door because I have something else for you to step into. And you guys may ask, because you guys know I retired, Shamieka, what gave you the nerve? What gave you the courage to do it? What gave me the courage to do it was from August of that year into November, I didn't have one day of depression, not one day of sadness, not one day of emptiness that had plagued my life at this time for 43 years. And I said, God, even when I'm scared, I'm going to trust you and step out and close down my business. I'm determined to see what it is that you have for me. And all of you guys who are in here, who are my clients, got an email that you guys weren't ready for. And I didn't have the courage, like I said, to tell you guys why I was really closing down. I just told you guys I was moving to Arizona and that I was going to be a farmer girl. That's all I could tell you. I have the courage today. Now you guys are hearing the real reason why. But that's the real reason why, you guys, I had to walk away and answer the call on my life. And so 6 weeks later, you guys, shut down my salon and I moved to Arizona. There was no reason for me to stay here. And when I got to Arizona, I said, well, I'm going to buy me a house. I'm going to be a girl farmer. All that stuff that I told y'all, that really was happening. I just left out the Jesus part. That's why I was following him. The crazy part. And you guys, as me and the realtor were looking for homes and all the things, brand new homes on acreage, because I wanted to be a girl farmer. And every house that I went to go look at, I hated it. How do you hate brand new houses? 10. I think we saw a total of 13 houses. Hated all of them. And I was having this unsettling feeling in my stomach. And whenever I have that unsettling feeling, I knew that I'm not moving in the right direction. And so I told the realtor, let's take a break. When we took a break, that's when God began to give me more dreams and more visions. He said, you're not here to be a farmer. You're going to be a farmer, but not a farmer that you think. He began to show me more dreams and visions of being the repairer of the breach. I said, the repair of the what? He said, the repair of the breach, the restorer of the streets. And I started seeing that everywhere. YouTube, Instagram. I had never heard of that. It actually comes from Isaiah 58:12. And he began to teach me while I was in isolation, because I moved to this small town with another part of my Guzman family while I was waiting for my house. And he said, that's not coincidental. You're here in this small town, in solitude and isolation. And you guys, the more time that I spent with him, talking to him like I'm talking to you guys, that's how I talk to Jesus. Jesus isn't up here. He's right here with me. And he's like that with you guys too, if you guys want him to be right here. And he began to show me what it meant to be the repair of the breach. And that meant becoming a disruptor in this culture. That meant being transparent and giving people a voice to stand up and say the things that are very uncomfortable to say. He began to show me about the book, about the stages, about the podcast, about the speaking gigs, about traveling the world. He began to show me all of this stuff. And I said, God, I was that angry. Isn't the book enough? I told y'all, I got real with him. Not fake. I was like, isn't the book enough? I'm already telling my story. He was like, I didn't build you for this. Everything that you have survived, it was all a part of my plan for you. You should have been dead. You should have never survived. I allowed those things and saved you from every one of those things for this moment. I built you, Shamieka, to be a disruptor in this culture. I built you to not come here and give soothing words. I built you to give people the courage and the words to talk about the things that they don't know that they can talk about. And you guys, every day, he broke codependency off of me. He broke abandonment off of me. He broke people pleasing off of me. Every day, something was being broke off of my life. And when he began to talk about and show me these stages and stuff, you guys, I was just like, I'm not no speaker. I am a colorist. What? I don't have phonics. I don't even know how to pronounce words. And while all this is going on, I'm calling this sister along the way, telling her all of it. And he was literally using this sister to affirm me. All of them were all playing a part in this time in my life. And once again, you guys, I said yes to go deeper with him. And I said, God, what does that all entail? He said, you've already done the hardest part. I'm going to give you the words to say. Just like I gave Moses the words to say, just like I gave Jeremiah the words to say, I use these people in the Bible to bring change into a culture, to deliver some of them out of Egypt, to be all the greatness that he had called them to be. He was like, and I'm going to still give you the courage, just like I had given them. The same God then is the same God today. And I still work the same way. Amen. All I need from you, Shamieka, is baby steps, is what he said. Take my hand and follow me. You've already done something hard. I have something for you. And every day, you guys, I was just trying to hear what Jesus was saying, and I was, but I was scared. And that's when he began to birth in me about this framework that you guys have probably been hearing about in social media called Rejected and Chosen. And this framework that he was giving me was about showing the readers, the people on social media, that our traumas have been in the Bible this whole time, that we just didn't know where to look. He began to show me in the Bible with all these characters, I like to call them, but the people in the Bible, that they went through some of the same stuff that we've gone through. When you guys think of Moses, we just think about, oh, he delivered the people out of Egypt. Well, Moses had abandonment and rejection issues as a child as well, and God used him to deliver the people out of Egypt. Esther, she was an orphan, just like me and maybe some of you. He used her to save the people from a genocide. He began to show me all these characters. He began to show me about King David. And we think about King David, what do we say? Oh, he's a man after God's own heart. He is all those things. But can I tell y'all what David also is? David was a murderer. He was an adulterer. He was a full-blown narcissist. We don't talk about that, though. And so what God began to show me in the Bible was that the same things that we deal with today, they're in the Bible. And he said, you're going to teach them. You're going to show them. And I was like, okay, God, well, what does that mean? And he began to download this framework into me. He said, We're going to heal up the inner child wound, just like I did with you. We're going to show them and connect them to the Bible twin that mirrors their purpose. And then we're going to teach them about radical forgiveness through the book, writing letters and saying things that you can't say. And then once they get healed up, whatever their more than likely their greatest pain is, that's where their purpose is. And teach them how to become the repairers of the breach. I said, God. He said, trust me, Shamieka. I built you for this. You're ready. And so I've explained that framework to you guys. And if you guys are willing, I want you guys to experience that framework with me just a little bit tonight. If you're willing, I want everybody to close their eyes and act like nobody's in the room. I want you guys to think of a time, this would be step one of the framework. I want you guys to think of a time possibly that you have felt alone, abandoned, possibly unwanted, some people bullied, feeling unworthy. That moment right there, who was there? And then the second part of that framework is to identify it with a Bible character. I'll just give you guys a few. Maybe your story is like Moses and abandoned and rejected from the womb. Maybe your story is like Tamar in the Bible, who has experienced sexual abuse and her family told her to sweep it under the rug. Maybe you're like Esther and a foster child or an orphan. All the things, you guys, all of our stories are in the Bible. And then step 3 of this framework would consist of us walking in forgiveness and renouncing and declaring. And so I'm going to give you guys an affirmation, if you're willing, to repeat after me. That person who you thought of in step 1 of this framework, I want you to keep them in mind. I'm going to say a little prayer, and then I want you guys to repeat after me. Father God, I thank you for every soul and body that's here today, Father. I thank you for their courage to come and show up today, to even walk through this framework. Father, let them experience something that they've never experienced before. Father, have your way in this building today. We ask you for all these things through your Son, Christ Jesus. I want you guys to repeat after me. I want you to say, I forgive, fill in the blank. You guys say, I forgive. I forgive. You don't have to say it out loud who the person is, fill in the blank. That person you thought of in step 1. Say, I release them, for the hurt that they caused. Say, I forgive myself, for not having the courage, to speak up about it. I release this person. They owe me nothing. I renounce the lie that I'm abandoned or that I'm rejected. I renounce the lie that I'm not good enough. I renounce the lie that I'm unworthy. I declare that I'm everything that my Abba Father said that I am. I am chosen. I am set apart. I'm everything that you want me to be. And I thank you for who you are in my life. In Jesus' name, amen. I don't know how you guys are feeling in this moment. Some of you may feel emotional. Some of you may feel lighter. But that's just a tad bit of the framework that God has given me to allow some of my clients to experience in the process of all of this stuff that I told you guys about. I am a certified coach. I have a handful of my clients, I'm not going to make them raise their hands today, who is walking through this healing process for them to be able to become the repairers of the breach of their families. You guys, this book would be the first step to give voice to the things that possibly you don't have the courage to talk about. It's a very easy read. That's feedback that I've heard almost for each one of you guys in this room, the people online and all the things. So if you get the book, it just helps you bring up and talk about things so you can write about whatever it is, to do the framework, to forgive the people. Just like I told you guys and read the letter, we have to get real with ourselves and call a thing and forgive the things that people have done because they're just broken just like us. And so we have some of these copies in the back, but I have to let you guys know what happened. Half of my book order came 3 weeks ago, and the rest. So the journals back there on the tables, those came. There's a journal that accompanies this book, and that's what came half the time, 3 weeks ago. And these books didn't come. And so as my daughters told me, somebody was willing to stay. Actually, my daughter's father was willing to stay behind as he was here working in town to visit his daughter, and said, I'll stay there in hopes that by the time you get done with your talk, that the books would be here. Many of you guys I know have purchased the book, so I would encourage you guys, get your signed copy and give your book away to somebody else. This is a time where we're around the holiday season. If you know somebody that would benefit from this book, you guys buy it. It's a wonderful gift to give. You guys have literally watched me, whether it was afar or in my circle, that beam that we were talking about, that glow, it's because I got real and started writing letters. You guys can have the same freedom and experience the same thing. And if you want to experience the framework that I gave you guys, a little bit of it, first I want to tell you guys that healing takes time. But when you have the right people in your life, I have 3 coaches now and my trauma therapist that help me along the way. And what a coach does is, for instance, if what I've gone through and have the experience, a coach helps you get to your healing faster or whatever it is. So I have 3 of those, and I am a certified transformational coach. And if you would like to experience the framework or walk into your purpose and want somebody to hold your hand, I would encourage you guys, there's some QR codes that's around here that you guys can scan and sign up for the 5-day challenge, where in this 5 days, you guys will know what your inner child womb is. You guys will know the Bible twin that you're connected to. And you guys will know what your purpose is. That's what I can let you know in the 5 days. So if that's something that you would like to experience, you guys can scan the QR codes that are around to let me walk with you to help you during this journey. I want to tell you guys, thank you so much for showing up here today and letting me share my story. I'm so grateful for each and every one of you guys. And I see somebody tiptoed here in the back. So I want to give a shout out to the gentleman who did this beautiful cover of my book, Mr. Julius back there. You guys give it up for my book cover. And his info is in here, I think, on the front page. So if you guys need artwork, graphics, or whatever, I don't know the terminology, but he's back there. And you guys can go talk to him about all that stuff. So thank y'all so much. You guys enjoy cupcakes, water. I'm going to transition over there. I would love to hug you guys next. Pictures, signed books, and all the things. Thank y'all so much for the unconditional love and being here for me and showing up. I love you guys all. We're going to enjoy London. She's going to LB. She's going to be playing some music and just vibing us out. Yes. Thank y'all so much. Hi, baby. How you doing? I'm so proud of you. So amazing. The enemy was applying. Girl, for real, for real. You rock. I love you. Thank you so much. And this is my best friend, Markeisha. Yes, we introduced. Yes, I did. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
God, it's so good. I have to keep my peace in there, so I'm like, don't scare the people. Don't scare the people. You know?
I'm so proud of you, baby. Thank you so much.
I'm so proud of you.
Thank you.
I want you to sign my book, and then I leave.
Yes.
I leave
Where's your book? Let me sign it. Yes, let me sign it.
6:45 flight.
Yes, let me sign it.
I'm so proud of you.